Hello and welcome to the Loose Butthole Review. Today we're reviewing Romeo and Juliet from 1996.
Yes. What a wild ride. I don't we're gonna start with our ratings, but I don't wanna I don't want my rating to construe anything. Of course, I did really enjoy this, and I actually enjoyed this more than most of the 3.5s that I this is probably the top 3.5 that I have right now.
Getcha. And I'm gonna go with a 4 out of 5.
Mhm.
Just there's a bit of a nostalgia factor in this.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
first time I saw this was in school.
This would have been a four if it wasn't for one issue that we both have.
The Juliet in this is terrible. I mean, I don't know why they had to get her out of all the people. Like, they could have gotten, there's so many professional Broadway actresses that they couldn't get.
It's
They would have
because
done it for a lot cheaper. They would have just done it for free.
it's
They would
because
have
she
just done it to
was
honor
I
Juliet.
that was totally like just a production thing of just like what do us in like mid 90s think is like the pinnacle of women, which is like the most skinny.
And she was just so flat. She could not perform Juliet well whatsoever. She
Yeah, it was
did
basically just the face.
she had the dead expression, like she was already dead and she was a walking corpse, and her lines were always the flattest possible, and
Yeah,
it's
it was like
they
the few
dubbed over
times.
them. They
Yeah, and
even,
the few.
like, most scenes you can tell because it's always with Leonardo DiCaprio. His audio will have a
Mhm.
reverberation and an echo to it, and her audio will be super fucking flat. It's like,
That
the
means
fuck.
that means this is like a different take too, and this was the best take that they dubbed in.
Yeah, that was just as good as they possibly could get it with her, and that it
In
it's
the few
never good.
times she did put on a mute mode, where like she was like on some type of like weird drugs or like coming off of some drugs. This felt like she was like coming off of ecstasy a little bit. That's why like she was a little bit drony, but there's a little euphoric. Uh, shit. Yeah, it is.
Sorry about that.
How do I sound now?
You probably that'll probably fix it. But yeah, I completely agree with, like, the only time she could show emotion, it seemed like she was on something. Like, the director was like, just fucking give her something, anything, just let her, get her to show emotion. It's so
Like, get her
bad
some
that
uppers, please.
I know that they must have done the line. They must have tried to do the line of, "Oh, happy dagger, thou sheath the blade in my chest." That's not the direct line, but it's something in that vein. They must have did that line, and she just could not deliver it. So they was like, "Yeah, let's just have her point the gun to her head and pull the trigger, and let's do that
No,
instead."
I cracked up. I was, I was about to make a joke, but I was like hoping because I'm like, I don't think she's gonna, but I wasn't even expecting her to put it to her head. So I thought she was gonna put it to her heart too, you know. And but I was also kind of hoping. I'm like, oh man, there's a joke I have if she puts this in her mouth. Because that's gonna
She's
be like,
supposed to put it
she's like,
to
ooh, a Pez dispenser.
in the actual play. It's supposed to be a dagger. It's not supposed to be a pistol, and she's supposed to jab it into her chest because the
Mhm.
pain in her chest it's too much for her to bear. She literally just woke up and watched her husband drink poison and kill himself,
Oh, they should have
believing.
gave her a Derringer, which is like the Derringer of guns, and then they should have had her, yeah, put it to her heart.
Yeah, that it's
They could even have had it cool. She could have like pulled it from like her like ankle.
yeah. They even gave her a nice little pistol that she had and everything that could
Mm.
have been, but it is supposed to be uh
Yeah, they've been called the swords.
it is supposed to be Romeo's dagger that she uses. So that's
Yeah,
why
true.
that it's Romeo's pistol that she uses. And they refer that's what I don't understand. That's what confused me why they didn't do the line was cuz they
Mm,
referred to the guns as swords the whole time. They
mm,
even referred to the rifle that Buddy's about to pull as a long sword.
yeah.
and, and to be honest, that's just seems it's a little more intimidating when someone pulls out a fucking and says, "I'm unsheathing my sword," and pulls a fucking gun out. It's like, holy shit.
Even more phallic. More power to it.
It and like you said, this it's just a wild fucking ride from start to finish. Like they did this really well because
Mm.
the first half is supposed to be comedic.
Yeah, I actually like the first half the best.
it's supposed to throw you off your guard. It and
That's why I
then
really liked it. Yeah,
the it
the first half was the best part of this movie. That I actually kind of lost a little bit of interest at the end.
well that's because they literally condensed down an hour and 45 minutes into like 30 minutes,
Mm.
which is not good. They just the second half needed more time. That unfortunately that's the only bad thing about this is it they could have just gave it a 40. This is something that I would have completely they could have given it an extra 45 minutes for some of the
Yeah,
scenes
if
cuz the
Titanic's
Tybalt
like 4 hours,
the
then why
the
couldn't that just be
Matruscio
longer?
scene they gave it enough time, but the Tybalt death is supposed to have so much more depth to it. Like that,
Hmm.
Matruscio is the turning point of the play where it's no longer about laughs and shit's starting to roll. But the Tybalt death is when the shit finally, hits the climax and everything just goes to shit.
Hmm. Yeah.
And they just did not spend enough time on it. They do the Tybalt death, and then they go and they fucking do the exile of Romeo, even though it
Hmm.
they
The
don't really
band.
they don't really point that Romeo is supposed to also be blamed for Mercutio's death, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
That's part of the exile. Like it's becoming too much for the
Which they
kingdom.
kind of then they kind of backtracked from. They started to do that, then they were like, no, he couldn't have been.
Yeah, because they were friends, but he was Romeo is supposed to be held responsible for Mercutio's death.
Hmm.
And of course they replace the prince with the sheriff. That's who the sheriff is
Hmm.
supposed to be.
Gotcha.
Is the prince, and the prince is of course Mercutio is like his nephew or something,
Hmm.
and his he's neutral, but he's Romeo's friend, and he fucking dies
Hmm.
because of Tybalt. And
And this is all happening in the world of, of Gungrave, but and still in the prequel part.
yeah, I like
That's
that
what
they
the
kind of set
setting
it
of
in
it.
like a
Yeah,
mafioso kind of
especially
deal.
when they had the two buildings together, because it's like two mafioso buildings that also they also are like very yakuza like, so they have like also companies that are like set up to like that, you know.
Yeah, it's a very they did this really well. That's why I have to give it a 4 because I liked it. I was bad to give it a 4.5, but the more I thought about the Juliet,
Mm.
Claire Danes I think is who plays her. I'm gonna look her up and see what else she
There was
plays in.
just too much screen time of her to like ignore it.
Yeah, it unfortunately, she does the "Oh Romeo, where art thou, Romeo" so fucking poorly. Like it's like just if you're not gonna do the dagger line, don't do the "thou Romeo" line. You didn't even do it right. He's supposed to be in a bush the whole time, and they're supposed to be talking, and then he's supposed to interrupt them. That's how that's supposed to fucking go down. They're not supposed to get in the fucking pool and play around and shit. That's not supposed to
She should have
happen.
came out. She should have came out and went kitty 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 kitty.
uh, she just it's unfortunate, but This was a good movie. I enjoyed watching it again. I'm glad I picked this
Yes.
film. The next
Hmm.
one that we're gonna probably review though is definitely probably gonna be The Giver
Hmm.
because I'm so
Oh
curious.
yeah, yeah.
I
The Giver
fucking
in Chicago. I want
Chicago.
to see
Yeah,
Chicago.
those are the next two on the docket. The when was Chicago released, by the way?
Let me look that up.
That will
Chicago.
ultimately determine the order of it.
Chicago movie.
Ooh,
2002
we'll do Chicago. We'll do Chicago next, even though
with Renee
I wish it
Zellweger
was set in the night.
and
This would have if Chicago was set in the maybe we should do another '90s
oh
film.
yeah. And what's good is that then we could give a little honor to Richard Gere since he's been sort of shadow banned in Hollywood for defending think shit I can't remember if it's Tibet or Taiwan again.
Ah, damn it.
One second. They both are both things that I mean. China oppresses a lot of countries and makes them not countries.
Yeah, try to say they're fucking just cities in China, but they're not. They're actual fucking countries
Yeah,
like
and
Hong
Hong
Kong.
Kong should be one. Hong Kong should be two. Let's see.
Hong Kong and Taiwan. I know those two. I think there's another one as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Tibet.
Tibet, yes.
Yeah, because he's a Buddhist.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. But definitely those are going to be the next two we review. There's not much I want to give away about this. This is one that I kind of can't recommend though, because
Oh wait,
you
let
gotta
me see
be
if
into William
Chicago's on
Shakespeare.
anything.
You gotta be into classical literature to appreciate the nuance of this film. Because if
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
then this is just gonna be a batshit crazy film with weird dialogue.
Which I enjoy too, because I mean, like I have context, but I never like actually delved into Uh, the only one I've actually done was Macbeth.
It's just not a bad one either. That's definitely a good one. But this is his most popular one. Is I think they even have a Macbeth movie that we probably should do.
Hmm. Oh wait, is it Hulu? And looks like maybe on HBO Max that Chicago might be on. If
Nice.
if Google is not lying to me.
Google usually is spot on when it comes to the streaming services. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's not much more. The soundtrack, they did the music really well. It didn't sound out of place, any of the music, to be honest. It sounded like it was meant to be within the dialogue, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Hmm.
It's weird that it's the dialogue is extremely old, but they still made it work
Yeah,
because
yeah, I love
everybody's
that
speaking
aspect
that
of it.
way.
Hmm. There was some points when like some of the dialogue when it was kind of hard to understand what they're saying, like not only just of like the complexity of kind of like the poetry of it, but like also just like the words that they were saying a couple times, just like
Yeah, this is definitely classical. Like
mm,
they used words that we don't
it's very
use
fast
at
film,
all.
yeah.
They
And
sped it up. I understand why they sped up the
it's
dialogue
really
because
much, and I love that they when they like especially at the beginning, there's a lot of like people being sped up as they're moving around, which is really
yeah, that
fucking.
giving
I
it
actually
a
really
little
like that. That
wild
was goofy as
edge
fuck.
to it. That was really nice. And
I
fucking
could imagine like this coming on like late at night and I like never saw this and then like thinking that like did I dream that did I dream that like weird like I would probably think
I
like Titanic came on and then like I dreamed like a weird version of Romeo and Juliet.
that I could totally see that because fucking Paul Rudd and Jamie Kennedy just appear out of fucking nowhere in this film.
Mm.
Like they actually play pinnacle characters within the
Mm.
play, but they have no screen time whatsoever.
Seeing that's like the dreams taking place over a while, so like it started with Titanic and then somehow I slept all the way through all or like They skipped it somehow. I bumped the remote, and then it switched to yeah, like Ant-Man.
Or I love you, man.
I love you, man. Yeah, it switched to I love you, man. And then it switched then it switched to like a some like Robert Rodriguez movie or Quentin Tarantino movie where it's like people are shooting each other. A Kingsman or something.
But it's such a they did it so well. So well. Everything they did, it's weird for a film, but with what they were going for, which was bringing a modern rendition of a theatrical classical play, they nailed it. The only thing was they needed a better Juliet. That I want to know what happened behind that, why they had to use her.
And I liked DiCaprio, but I feel like his friend, what's the character's name again? Who dies, and then
Mercutio.
Yeah, Mercutio. He was definitely my favorite character. I felt like he kind of blew a lot of people away.
Oh, definitely. He's
and yeah, but yeah, Mercutio definitely my like that dude like was performing with his heart. And DiCaprio was like good, but I think he kind of suffered in this movie from just kind of being like kind of main character syndrome. Just kind of like I accept him and he's doing a good job, but like I don't know. I feel like the side characters are like the most interesting part of this film. Because then my second favorite character, he didn't even get that much screen time, was the priest. He's like the opium dealer. I want to know more about that.
Yes, everybody forgets that part that he's actually supposed to be a friar, but yeah, in the actual play he does a monologue about the poppy flower. Everybody forgets, and almost every time you see someone actually do they're not gonna actually do the poppy scene. They're gonna do the scene, but they're not gonna have him like actually prepping it or anything. Everybody wants to ignore the fact that he's supposed to be talking about poppy and supposed to be doing preparing opium.
That she seems like she's dead. But more, come on, work. Oh, I probably have to reconnect. Come on, damn it.
I
Come on. Hello, hello. Internet, come on, man. Oh, good. And also, all technical difficulties. The third favorite character was I guess what she would be called at this time was a governess, from what I learned
yeah, they call her a nurse in
nurse.
this though.
Nurse. Yeah, nurse. Man, she has the best expressions.
Yes, the I wanted to get into Mercutio a bit before we had to kind of keep going.
Sorry,
Mercutio, he's definitely the best out of everybody in this. I don't know why, but something about him was like, I'm gonna make this the performance, the best. He strived, and he just steals the scene every time Mercutio comes on. It's like, I don't even care for the Mercutio character when it comes to Romeo and Juliet, but just for him alone, it's like, God damn, that's a good character.
I'd totally hang out with Mercutio.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mercutio got the hookup too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Or
But
were they just,
they're
like,
supposed to
doing
be
Molly?
drunk. They're supposed to be drunk at the party. They're not supposed to be doing ecstasy, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, wasn't around at that time.
But
They
I
modernized.
like this. I like the tiny little liberties that they took. They
Mhm.
didn't take many liberties, but the liberties that they took
I'm
really
surprised
worked
your
well
school
and
showed
fit.
this one. I'm surprised that your school like showed this to you.
Mm, the literature. Well, we were in high school, so
Yeah,
and
still.
like
But I guess my high school was pretty lame, so.
yeah, you went. I went to a public school, so we were able to see stuff like this.
But I just feel like they'd be like that one teacher would be like into the dare thing and be like drugs. Oh no.
Yeah, but the ninth grade literature teacher of my high school was pretty cool. He tried his best to make literature interesting. He also became the mythology teacher later on as well.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice, nice.
That's literally the I wouldn't have took mythology if another teacher would have taught it. That's the only I was like, "Oh, fuck, you mean I can like take your ninth grade class and then fucking take mythology right afterwards? Fuck yeah."
Hmm. Nice. But
Because
yeah.
my school was never like it was constantly adding new classes and taking away classes throughout the school year. It was very fucking hard to get permanent credits in that fucking school for some
Hmm.
reason. But we're going off topic.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I got showed this in high school, and I'm glad I did. To be honest, it definitely like introduced me to a form of literature that definitely changed my perspective. I wish we
Hmm.
talked like this.
Hmm.
It's so much so refined, and it's so much like just saying just the simple act of saying farewell instead of goodbye or something. It's like, god damn, that's ominous.
Yeah, it'd be hard to keep up with everybody then.
Yeah, you have that's the point though. You got to be on your game 24/7.
Enjoy.
Uh, but yeah, we've gone on long enough.
Mhm.
Definitely a 4 out of 5 for me.
And a 3.5.
All right, if you've been listening this long, thank you so much. So sorry for the technical difficulties we had there in the middle. Please like or comment dislike on the video and share it around. Give us some feedback that we need feedback for sure. Subscribe to the
Mhm.
channel. Turn on notifications. Do you have a sign off that you want to give, Spooge?
Uh, are you Team Montague or are you Team Capulet?
Capulet, yes.
Yes.
All right. And this will be a bye bye.
Bye bye.